James, if you want to get cracking, please. Thanks.
Hi, Chris. Can I just start by just asking you to clarify the situation with Moeen Ali and how the decision came for him to return home?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, we're sorry. We're sorry the impression we gave yesterday was that Moeen's being different to other people. He isn't. I can guarantee you that. And the decision for him to go home was ours, as it was with Butler, Sam, Bairstow, and Wood, to be honest. So, yeah, I mean, we're happy to own that decision.
Was he asked to stay on then?
He was. It was a unique situation with Moeen, the fact that he'd spent so long in isolation, obviously getting COVID out in Sri Lanka, and having just broken back into the team. The question was posed to, so we try and work as close as we can with our players to make sure we get the best opportunities as well as looking after them. So he was asked, but ultimately we felt it was the right decision for him to go home.
And how was he? How was he taking it all?
He was fine. We touched base with Mo last night, as did Joe, and he was fine. He's fine. He understands that we've got his best interest at heart, and we try to look after him just like we do all the other players. I mean, these are strange times we're in, so we're going to do his best to look after his players.
And I know you've said it before, but it doesn't affect his position in the side, the Test side going forward, even though he's missing that opportunity to compete.
Well, we're trying to build a big group of players, what we can use moving forward. Obviously the planning and the building for the Ashes started a long time ago for me. And we're continuing to build that group of players that at any given point, anybody can play. And they'll be happy for them to be in the team. And Moeen is obviously a very big part of that as well.
Does it expose some of the issues around this rotation policy, though?
I think it's the life that we're living at the moment. We have to prioritise looking after our players, and we're doing the best we can to make that happen. Being locked in a bubble for long periods of time like we are is difficult, especially with people that have got families at home. And we have to be very respectful that people do need to see the families, and equally the families need to see them as well.
And you're confident you can cope without him? You're a spinner light on turning pitches, looking to get back into this series. Well, get back into it. It's 1-1, I know.
Yeah, it is 1-0. Let's keep things in perspective. We've obviously we lost this test, but it's the first one in 7. We've won 6 tests away here now. Away in the subcontinent now. It's just a little bit of perspective, really. That's what I've talked to the players about. But yeah, moving into the next game, we're very excited about it. I'm very confident in the players that we've got here and their ability to compete, as we showed we did in the first test. So I'm happy.
And finally, from me, so you surprised at all that Virat Kohli hasn't faced any disciplinary action for his outburst?
That's nothing to do with me. But I keep out of them things.
I thought you might say that. Thank you.
Cheers, James.
Stefan, please.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. Hope you are too. Can I just ask you about Dom Bess, please? Because you left him out in favour of Moeen when you knew the plan was for Moeen to be going home, and now presumably Dom is going to play a big part in the rest of the series. Have you got to sort of delicately manage Dom over the next couple of weeks?
Well, we have been anyway. Obviously, we did leave Dom out. It gave him a little bit of time to just sort of freshen up and reflect, really. He and I have spent, obviously, a lot of time together since then, sort of in the nets. We've been talking to him. He's in a really good place. We know that Bessie offers us a lot, both, not just with ball, but with in the field, with bat in hand. And what he brings to us sort of in the dressing room as well is a proper team man. So I think, if given the opportunity, I'm sure he will jump through it again. And I know that he will turn up and give it everything he's got, which is all I can ask of the players, to be honest. But we are working, we're working with him and doing his best to prep.
The rest of the rotation policy has caused lots of attention and everything that's gone on in the last 24 hours. Given what has just happened, and also the fact that some players that are resting are spending times quarantining in hotels as they come back and forth from India, everyone understands the reasons why you've done this, and it's really, admirable intentions. But is it even more difficult than you thought it was going to be to implement this policy?
Well, I think it's something that we've just got to get on with and try and make work the best we can, purely for the reasons I've already stated, is the fact that it is a strange existence we have at the moment. People do need to see the family, and for us to do that, unfortunately, we do have to go through the quarantine periods when we come back. So we try and make that as comfortable as possible. We make sure that we're talking to the guys all the time, and that they're not just sat in the room with no communication with anybody. We've just got to make it work. It's as simple as that, because people do need time sort of outside of this bubble to spend time with families, to freshen their minds up, and to come back, and so that when they are here, we're 100% here and in a great place to perform once they're asked.
Looking at the entire winter, going back to South Africa as well, the only time when squads have been, what you might call full strength with no one rested, have been for the 2 T20 series. Maybe some spectators could take that as seen as the T20 internationals have been prioritised over the Test matches this winter. What would your response to that be?
Not at all, to be honest. Test cricket is really important to me. I've always said that. Sort of coming into this role, it's something that Joe and I are very passionate about. And we prioritise Test and T20 equally, to be honest. We know we've got a great opportunity to have a bit of a dry run, obviously with the T20 World Cup being in India. But equally, we've got to respect that to get people, to the T20 World Cup, to the Ashes fresh, and making sure that we keep everybody on top form, we have to rotate people, we have to look after them. And unfortunately, as I keep saying, these are the worlds we're living in. But I can guarantee you we're not prioritising anything above Test cricket.
And just lastly, what was your take on the conditions for the second Test in Chennai, and what are you hoping for, maybe in terms of a little bit more assistance for your pace bowlers from the pink ball day-night game in Ahmedabad?
Yeah, I think what I'm hoping for and what we'll get may be two different things. But no, listen, the pitch was difficult, and it gave us some challenges, but there's a lot of learning opportunities there as well. The wicket, a lot of our guys won't have seen wickets like that, so to play on them, they'll come away wiser for it. And the one thing that we do pride ourselves on is trying to learn quickly. So the experience itself would have been great for them. The youngsters at the top of the order, to play against a good side, which India are, a very good side. In challenging competitions. Hopefully they will learn to adapt, and next time they see conditions like that, it won't be so strange to them.
Thanks very much. Safe travels.
Pleasure, great. Thank you.
John Norman, please. Talk sport.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for chatting to us. Just a quick question about Joe Root. Picking up from what Stefan was saying, actually, it does appear that when Owen Morgan leads the limited overs team, he's got his team. That's certainly been the way recently, and for the World Cup ahead of the Ashes, and that will be the case, it appears, in March when the T20s and limited overs series comes about. Joe Root, on the other hand, very often walks out onto the field. That isn't necessarily the case. We all understand why that is, but is there a sense of frustration that he's being asked to do something extremely difficult in India in Test cricket? Not many captains for England have done that, and yet he's not being given the tools to do it, whereas his counterpart or his contemporary Owen Morgan, when it comes to limited overs cricket, is being given the tools.
I don't think there's any frustration. Joe understands as well as I do that it's difficult. The length of the time that we're here for the Test series compared to the length of, say, 2020 series is, it's chalk and cheese, really. And we understand that, to play 4 Tests over here in this bubble, that we have to rotate people. And it's why we're working so hard to make sure that actually we're building a bigger group of people, a group of players that we can work with, and at any given point, any of them can play. And I think I've said before, but the one good thing that I've seen with obviously the policy we've got in place is we're creating opportunities for some of the youngest players to come through. So obviously we got to see Ollie Stone in the last Test, and I thought he did fantastically well. We get to see Dan Lawrence, Pope coming back in. So we're seeing people that maybe normally we wouldn't see as much of. So it's giving opportunity, and we understand that we have to do it. And equally, it's building towards those Ashes. The Ashes as well. We want to make sure that when we arrive at the Ashes, that we have got a fit, healthy group of players that are all capable of performing in those conditions. And like I said, that work for me started a year ago. You've read plenty about the S&C work that they're doing behind the scenes to make sure that when we get off the aeroplane, they're fit, ready and firing to go. And we've got some great Test cricket between now and then. And obviously we want to win everything along the way. And I think the challenges that we're seeing here is a great experience for all of us.
And as England coach, as somebody who's equally tasked with a very difficult job of being successful overseas, how will you feel in May through to June, April through to June, if some of the players that aren't available to you as England coach are available to IPL franchise teams?
Well, again, I understand that is how the world it works. I get that. I understand it. I embrace it, and I do the best to make things work.
And lastly, for me, looking ahead to the third Test match, any idea at all about? I mean, England made 4 changes for the second Test match. Can we expect some more changes for the pink ball Test?
Yeah, potentially. Obviously, I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, equally, I think India made 3 changes in their team as well. But structurally, I think both teams sort of stayed the same in the way that we tried to line up. But it does. I mean, obviously, with the policy we've got, it means that everybody can throw the hat in the ring as well. So I can't obviously say too much until I've seen the wicket, because that will determine certain decisions anyway. But I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to it now. It's like, well, let's just get there and get on with it, because I think it's going to be exciting. I mean, with the pink ball, we're going to get some big crowds in. I mean, it's fantastic to get crowds back in here. I mean, to hear the buzz of the crowd again was electric, and they made plenty of noise. And I thought the crowd was brilliant, to be honest. So yeah, it's exciting times ahead. So I'm looking forward to the third Test.
Brilliant. Go well.
Thanks, mate.
Paul Newman, please.
Hi, Chris. I was going to ask something similar to John, actually. In this unique year, was any consideration at all given to asking the multi-format players to give the IPL a miss? They've got plenty of experience of Indian conditions now. They're going to get more in the white ball games next month. And we've seen players get out of Big Bash contracts, for instance. Was it an issue, or is it just not an issue? They have to go.
I don't think it's an issue, because equally as well, these guys they're playing a fantastic, high level class of T20 cricket, which can only benefit us really. Sort of moving forward, it benefits the player. We reap the benefits of that when they come back and play T20 for England. Obviously players make their own minds up around the competitions that they go in, but personally, I think we reap the benefits from them playing in the IPL.
I guess the frustrations for some people come when they miss Test matches to play in a domestic franchise competition. Can you see that?
I can understand, but it's I'm totally at peace with where we're at, to be honest.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Paul.
Rory Dollard, please.
Chris, just I know that the default position is to say that this is the world and you're doing your best to just get on with it and deal with it. But looking at some of the issues that have come up this winter, and it's not going to slow down for you guys in the year ahead, is there any sense that cricket as a whole has overreached itself in this COVID era and trying to just let the fixture list run on a business as usual as it's a bit over ambitious and maybe asking too much of you and your players?
Well, I mean, it's a box standard answer, I suppose, but we just get on with it. The fixtures are put in front of us, and we try to design things around so we can fulfil those fixtures really, and do it in a way where we're competing and hopefully winning. And to do that, I think we're going to have to still use a rotation system where we can get people in and out until things sort of free up really, and we can start moving people as we usually would, and then travelling with smaller squads as well. But at the same time as well, if you look at the cricket that we've got ahead of us, there's some really exciting cricket as well. You've got T20 World Cups coming, you've got Ashes coming, you've got India again at home next summer. We've got some big series coming up. There's a lot to get excited about. And I think certainly as a coach, I look at it and think, wow, this is going to be great. And I think players see opportunity to go out and do what they do as well and show off their skills. So, it is busy. We understand that and we get it. We've got to work with it, and while we're doing that, hopefully we can be successful as well.
As an extension of that, if I could sort of take that exact concept really and frame it, is it realistic for England to be the busiest team in the world and the best at the same time?
Well, we're going to give it a good go. It's as simple as that. We are. We want to be. We want to be number one Test nation in the world. We want to continue the success that we've had in white ball cricket, and we're going to give it a good go. It's as simple as that. We're all determined to make it happen. we've got a fantastic group of players. You know what I mean? All with sort of varying experiences. You know what I mean? So to me, I think we've got a lot to look forward to and a lot to be excited about.
George DeBell, please.
G'day, Chris.
Hi, George.
A couple of things, if I may, please. Firstly, how are Jofra and Zach doing? Is it realistic to expect them to be available for the third test? And secondly, is it your understanding that you're going to be missing potentially some test players for the New Zealand series, at least the start of it, because they're in the knockout stages of the IPL? And if that's the case, isn't it inevitable, whatever the rights and wrongs, isn't it inevitable that people will presume that Test cricket isn't the priority?
Well, I mean, just to reiterate again, I mean, Test cricket is a priority to us. You know, I mean, to me, most definitely. Moving on to Zach and Jofra. Jofra bowled today. He was down in the nets today, and Zach has been hitting cricket balls throughout the last Test match as well. So we're hoping that the two of them will bet for a hat in the ring. Obviously, we'll know more when we get to a Meadowbank and we start training there, and we get them back in the nets and what have you. But as I said, Zach has been hitting cricket balls throughout the last Test match, training out the back of the nets, and Jofra was down bowling today, and he's been doing his fitness and keeping his cardio work up and everything. So we're hopeful that they'll bet for a hat in the ring.
Okay, thank you. I hear what you're saying about it's the priority, but you know, and I hear the words, but the actions, you can understand how we are reaching a different conclusion, because you haven't got a full strength side for the Test series. You probably won't for the New Zealand series, but you have for the T20s, and everyone who wants to go to the IPL will play as much of the IPL as they can. You can understand, can't you, how we would come to a different conclusion?
Well, all I can do is reiterate that it is a priority. And one of the things for me, you know, I mean, about the way that things are at the moment is it gives opportunity to other people. You know what I mean? So it's, to me, that's exciting to see people come through. I mean, to see people make debuts, to see people do well. You know what I mean? So to me, I see the exciting side of that. But as I say, all I can do is just reiterate that, I mean, Test cricket is very, very, very important to us.
Okay,
and we
thank
want
you.
number one. Thanks, George.
Thank you.
John Etheridge, please.
Chris, hi. Sort of going about the IPL. I mean, the auction is tomorrow, so I suppose it's quite topical. Any of the feedback on social media and elsewhere is this thought that you know, the players are allowed to play a full IPL but are withdrawn from test matches and so on. But really, has it reached a stage now whereby you can no longer withdraw players from the IPL because of the money involved, and they almost consider it as part of their sort of annual income, and the money is such a level that it's impossible to take that away from them?
I think it is very difficult to say no, you can't play the IPL. You know, I mean, you certainly can't say no to one and yes to another. So I mean, it's if they're playing, It's as simple as that. But as I said, for me, there's also you know, I mean, we reap the rewards because they come back and play T20 for us, having played in, you know, I mean, one of the marquee events in the T20 cricket world. So it is very difficult. Yeah.
Just on the auction tomorrow, I think there's a few players obviously being retained, some of the bigger test figures, but I think probably of the 17 England players in the auction, only 2 would be considered test contenders, Moeen Ali and Mark Wood. Are you slightly conflicted about those? Do you want those guys to be picked up, or would you prefer them not to be picked up so they're fully refreshed and ready to go at the start of the home summer? No,
I mean, I want them to do well. If they're playing me IPL, I want them to do well. So I just, you know, I mean, I look on the side of, you know, I mean, supporting whatever decision they want to make, really. So if they get picked up, that's brilliant. And obviously anything I can do to support them, I will do. And I'll follow it with, you know what I mean, I'll be following it to see how they do well, and I'll be wishing that they do well while they're there as well. Because like I say, any experience they can pick up, they bring back to us. Knowledge of other players, you know, in conditions, and equally improving their skills as well.
And then that's it. I'm sorry, John. Have you got another one?
That's fine. You carry on.
Okay, sorry. 2 more now, please. Julian Geyer, then Dean Wilson. Thank you.
Hello, Chris.
Hi,
Can I just confirm that the idea that some people have had that you could have rested the multi-format players from the T20 series wasn't really an option because of the sheer difference in the length of time between that and the Test?
Sorry, say that again.
Sorry. yeah, some people have suggested that you might have rested multi-format players from the T20s rather than the tests. Was that not an option from your point of view because of the sheer difference in the length of time?
Well, I mean,
between the two series.
Yeah, I mean, the length of time that we're here during the test series, you know, I mean, it means that obviously families can't come to us, so we've got to do our best to get people to the families. You know, I mean, so is why it's worked as it is. So it'd be very, and equally as well, you know, I mean, from a World Cup point of view, the T20 being played in India, this series here, is a fantastic opportunity for us to learn as a group, for players to experience those conditions, and sort of take a lot of takeaways from that, really. But it's, I mean, the length.
Finally, now, Dean Wilson, please.
Yeah, hi, Spoons. I just wanted to ask about, have you learned something already about the rotation policy this winter? And I wondered whether you felt that maybe a little bit more flexibility might be in order, because obviously, you know, you have situations where players might be scheduled to leave, but they're in great form, scoring lots of runs or taking lots of wickets, feeling pretty good about the situation, and actually might want to stay in the bubble a bit longer, and vice versa. You might have someone kind of struggling. Do you think you need a bit more flexibility about, you know, when people leave?
Listen, I can understand where you're coming from. I mean, one of the problems I suppose we do have is if people stay too long and we go stale, it's very difficult then to get, you know, I mean, to get them back. So that's why we're trying to be proactive and actually get the breaks in there for them, so we don't actually get to a point where, you know, I mean, they've sort of had enough, really. So to me, to send them home, to get them fresh, and seeing the guys that have come back now, sort of bumping into them, you know, I mean, they're bouncing, they're excited, they're full of energy, and that's exactly where I want the players to be honest. That's why we're working hard to try and make that happen. And obviously, we're learning all the time. So, you know, I mean, sort of conversations that we're having, things that we're hearing, we take everything on board and do our best to make sure that we are looking after people and learning and moving forward all the time.
Because obviously there was the sense of a little bit of flexibility by asking Moeen in the first place, you know, having not played in those games in Sri Lanka due to COVID, you know, asking him if he was ready to stay on was a sign that you wanted that flexibility, but obviously that, you know, probably wasn't fair to put him in that position. I'm thinking.
Well, it's just, I mean, we tried really hard just to do the best for us players, and, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. Well, you know, I mean, we treat everybody the same, and if they need a break, we're going to get a break. It's as simple as that, and that's what we've done. And to be honest, I think it's worked well so far. You know, I mean, to better move people in and out, to give people that family time at home. You know, we'll talk about the players needing to see the family, but families need to see them as well. I've already said that, and we're all in that situation. So we just, like I said, we're working hard and doing our best to make sure everybody gets treated fairly and get the time that they need.
And just a final cricketing question. What are your thoughts on the pink ball test? I believe some guys have been training with the pink ball already. What have you noticed about it? And are you kind of excited about the potential that the pink ball offers your makeup of team?
Yeah, I am. I mean, the pink ball during practice has swung more. It's scuffed up less. So it seems a little bit more durable than the red version. So it is. I'm looking forward to seeing one or two more people with the pink ball in the hands in the medevac to see how it behaves on their bowling as well. But I mean, watching a few of them bowl yesterday with it, it was swinging, which was nice.
I bet. Thanks, Spoons.
Thanks, Dean.
Any more now, finally? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Much obliged. Take care, and we'll see you in Ahmedabad.
Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.